So here we have it, the all-new Apple Watch Series 10. And this time around, it comes with a much larger display along with a slimmer profile. I've been using it for a little bit over a week now, and I gotta say, it is quite underrated. But before we get to that, let's do a quick unboxing and first impressions. Anyways, a closer look. This is the Apple Watch Series 10. It is the jet black model, 42 millimeters, with a small band and the GPS. So pretty straightforward. Let's just crack this thing open and see what we got. We have these little pull tabs over here. Just gonna lift this up, boom, boom. Same thing with the other side. Just lift it up. And inside of here, we have a box. 2 boxes, as a matter of fact. We have the band itself, and then we have the watch head. So I gotta say, packaging wise, very, very nice, very premium. Apple always has their way of making their package just feel, incredible. We're gonna go ahead and peel these tabs off. I'm gonna start with the watch head first. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's see what we have inside the box. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that. So we have the Apple Watch itself over here, very tiny. And then over here, we have our documentation. We've got our paperwork. Inside of this pouch, we have our charging cable, which as you can see is USB-C. And then this is just magnetic, kind of like a MagSafe. So now we're gonna take a look at the band. I got it in a small/medium size because I do have a smaller wrist. And it looks like the basic sport band. It does mention on the back that it has a black stainless steel pin. So yeah, let's crack this thing open and see what it's all about. Let's pull the tab. Alrighty, so here we have the band itself. Very sleek, very smooth. So I'm gonna try to pop it out of here without tearing it. Wow, look at how shiny that thing is. And it's turning on automatically already. Kind of reminds me of the old iPhone 7 Jet Black Edition. Just looks super clean and super shiny. Man, does that look good. Just like that, flip it around. Has a nice click as well, so it's nice and secure. Very seamless fit, very comfortable, and I gotta say, it almost feels like I have nothing on my wrist. It's super, super light. I love the overall look of it. It's just blacked out all the way. We got the jet black on the head. So yeah, let's go set this thing up and see what it's all about, what I think about it, all the features and whatnot. So I'm just gonna grab my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and we should be able to connect it just by bringing it nice and close, just like that. We'll click continue. And the overall setup process should be very straightforward and simple. It's gonna bring you to the Apple Watch app. I'm gonna allow notifications, set it up for myself, and you're gonna just scan the screen. Just like that, it brings up this animation, which is allowing the pairing to happen. Bada bing, bada boom, your Apple Watch is paired. I gotta say, the overall fit and finish is absolutely gorgeous. I especially love this larger display with a seamless bezel. And with this being the aluminum jet black model, it really hides those bezels further, allowing for a much more immersive experience. On top of that, the colors on here are super vibrant, and it has a peak brightness of 2000 nits. And it's super noticeable when you're outdoors in a very bright environment. The screen is super clear and doesn't have a lot of reflection. And even the coating on the display is very fingerprint resistant. I can touch it all day long with my dirty fingers, and it doesn't even leave a fingerprint. And with a primary focus on the health features, it gave me a lot more insight on what's happening inside of my body. It allows me to keep track of all of my vitals, such as my heart rate, breathing, the steps I take in a day, and especially my sleep. That is a big issue that I really wanted to monitor because I don't get a lot of sleep on my day-to-day. At most, I sleep 3 hours a day based on how busy my schedule is. And being a night shift healthcare worker just really throws off my overall sleep cycle. But by being able to monitor every single aspect of my life, from the amount of steps I take, the amount of water I intake, the sleep, it gives me a better perspective on areas that I can work on. And I gotta say, the monitoring on this thing is super accurate and super detailed that it's almost scary. It's able to get so specific with the quality of sleep I have, how much REM sleep I have, light sleep, deep sleep, all of that, and it even shows it on a chart, all the different variations and whatnot. Another feature that I love is that it notifies me to stand up time to time if I'm sitting way too long. A lot of my workflow actually requires me to be sitting at a computer screen for a majority of my day, so it's really useful that it reminds me to just get up, take a walk, take a breather. And one of my favorite applications that I've installed on here was Waterminder. So it is a paid application, but it pretty much keeps track of your hydration. It lets you know if you're short on water, if you need to drink another cup, and it even allows you to document how many cups of water that you drink and keep track of it all within the watch. Now, when it comes to the overall productivity of pretty much any Apple Watch. It gives me easy access to all the notifications, messages, whatever phone calls that may come in. It just made my life a little bit more easier where I didn't have to always pick up my phone. Everything was just accessible on my wrist. A lot of times I don't have my phone with me because I leave it on a desk somewhere and I walk away. Or if my phone is dead, I still have access to all my messages and every notification that comes in directly from the watch. This is a Wi-Fi model, so if I am connected to the network, I can still use the watch even if my phone is not on. But if you are out and about and you don't have a Wi-Fi connection, the cellular model will definitely be a lot better for that. Another amazing thing to note about this watch is that it has a surprisingly good speaker and microphone. So it does have some of the noise cancellation features that the new iPhones have, where even if you're in a busy and loud environment, it will isolate your voice. So the person on the other side of the phone call will have a really crisp audio. And on the receiving end, I can take phone calls on here even in a really loud environment. And the speakers on here are loud enough where I can hear it without being overwhelmed by the overall background. Another thing I wanted to mention is the battery life. So the actual battery life amount is practically the same as the previous Series 9, but the difference is that the new Series 10 has a much quicker charge time. If you know anything about me, I absolutely hate charging things and I always forget to plug things in. But with this watch having a super long battery life and a quick charge, I can make this thing last 2 days without having to plug it in, which is very convenient. Now, just to get a little bit nerdy and look at the specifications that is provided on Apple's website, the features on the Series 10 compared to the Series 9 are very similar for the most part. The only thing that is different is just that larger OLED display. All the other features like the EKG app, sleep tracking, sleep apnea, vitals, etc., are pretty much the same as what you can get from the previous generation. Of course, you get a newer processor, the S10 SiP. You get a new water temperature sensor and a depth gauge if you are a swimmer. But other than that, a lot of the features are pretty much the same as the previous generation. And if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you might know that I might have a bit of a harsh criticism when I'm reviewing tech. But for the Apple Watch Series 10, it's honestly really hard to say anything bad about it because it's just so good. Like, sure, a lot of the features are pretty much the same as the previous models. The new one still just feels nicer. You know, it has a larger display, which is pretty much the overall selling point of it. The slightly faster charging isn't really that big of a deal. And for a price tag of only $399, it really isn't that expensive. Now, just to be balanced and fair here, I gotta say everything has pros and cons. You know, the Apple Watch Series 10 is pretty much perfect all around, but there are still some tiny little things that I get a little bit nitpicky about. The first thing is the focus settings. I have a customized Do Not Disturb profile on my phone and I use it quite often. On the watch itself, that setting does not transfer over from the phone. It has its own sort of dedicated silencing mode, and so even if my phone is silenced, the watch will still be going off with notifications, dinging and pinging everywhere. It's not the total end of the world because I can just quickly click the silent button, but that is just an extra step I have to take rather than it being a seamless transition. And my next complaint is more so to do about the watch's sensor behind the display. So like I mentioned, I mainly got this for the sake of monitoring my health, my heart rate and whatnot. And for the most part, I gotta say it works pretty well. It reads pretty accurately. It gives you a very detailed sort of PDF and chart of everything. If the watch is a little bit crooked or it's a little bit loose, sometimes it doesn't have a good connection on your wrist. And so because of that, the sensor is not picking up any information, or if it does, it tends to be skewed or inaccurate. When I'm looking through all my stats for all the health tracking, I notice a lot of times there are a couple of gaps here and there throughout the day. And I started to notice something was up when I opened up the heart rate app. And as I was trying to read my pulse, it was failing to detect because it was a little bit off. And until I straightened it out, that's when it started detecting again. Now, personally, for me, it's not the end of the world. I don't need to have all the information every minute, every second, but it really makes me start to question for those who are out there that have more health conditions that are more serious, and if the watch is failing to detect any discrepancies or it's giving inaccurate information, that could be pretty much a life or a death situation. And I'm not trying to say that you have to rely on an Apple Watch to pretty much save your life and make it your be-all device. As great as modern technology is, there's always gonna be some sort of limitations. You know, machines like to work in perfect environments, and if there's any factors that get in the way, the functionality is going to be impaired. I believe everyone's purpose of using an Apple Watch tends to vary. You know, some people are more focused on the health aspects, you know, and some people are looking just for the convenience to be able to see your notifications, respond to messages and whatnot. And for me, I gotta say that as a person who doesn't really use smartwatches, I really do like the Apple Watch Series 10. So what do you guys think of the new Apple Watch Series 10? Is it a cop or a drop? Let me know in the comment section below. But with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button to see more content from me. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.